First of all, thank you so much for the invitation to be here and telling a little bit about the story of Feedzai. I would have loved to be here in person and synchronously taking questions. It was not possible, but even so, it's always a pleasure to speak to the university community, and I really wanted to do it. So this is the way that we were able to do it. So my name is Paulo Marques. I'm one of the co-founders of Feedzai, and although many people have heard about us, they don't actually know what we do. So what we do is very simple. We stop fraud and we stop money laundering. And what this means is, imagine that every time that you are making a purchase online with a credit card, or every time that you are making a payment with your cell phone, there needs to be someone that is looking at all these transactions in real time and trying to understand if it's actually you who is doing the transaction, or if your card or your cell phone has been stolen. And this corresponds to thousands and thousands and thousands of transactions in real time. So Feedzai is a company that provides this software and helps to stop fraud and money laundering that comes from human trafficking, from selling drugs to actually happening. And we do this at a very large scale. To give you an idea, nowadays we process over $5 billion of transactions per day, every single day. So if you imagine a country like Portugal, it's like the GDP of Portugal going through our servers every couple of weeks. It's a huge, huge volume. We process over 2,000 transactions per second, every single second. So all these financial movements are taking place, and someone is making them safe. And we do this all over the world. So our clients are clients that are in the United States, they are in Canada, they are in Brazil, they are in France, in Spain, in the UK, in Germany, in Singapore. So for every single country, or almost every single country in the world, we stop fraud and we prevent these bad things from happening. The reason why the company has been so successful is that we use artificial intelligence and machine learning to do that. And you may ask, but everyone says that they use machine learning, they use artificial intelligence. But the reality is, on one hand, many people say that just for the sake of saying it, and they are not actually doing it, although that's changing very, very quickly. But when we started the company in 2009, no one was actually doing it. So what happened was that both me and Pedro, we were professors at university. We had a research group that was looking into how to process large volumes of data in real time. And when we actually started to apply this to fraud prevention, actually no one was using AI to do it. They were using rules engines, so they would write a set of rules to actually try to detect fraud, but that was really, really ineffective. And when we went against the competition, against the other companies in the market, our results were so much better every time that we did a proof of concept, or we were talking with a potential client and they asked us to prove the product. Our results were basically astonishing compared to what they had in place. And that was one of the reasons why the company was so successful. The other thing that happened was we did this by using techniques of large data processing, in particular, things like cloud computing, the ability to scale the computations to very large amounts of data. And the reason why this is important was in the market, when we started to basically sell the product, and even afterwards, there were companies that they were trying to process all the data, but they were using very traditional approaches to fraud prevention and to scaling servers. So in many cases, what happened was that they would have a product deployed at a financial institution, but they would only be able to process, let's say, 10% of the transactions. And if you imagine that fraud may not be taking place on the 10% of the transactions that they were looking at, it was a huge problem. In our case, we were really able to process all the data independently of the volume, because we had a product that was very, very scalable. And not only we were able to process all the data, but because of using machine learning, we were actually able to find all these fraud patterns and preventing money from being spent and stolen, while at the same time not disturbing the clients and the owners of these accounts. But the final reason why I believe the company was also very successful was that we always were very careful about the human-computer interaction aspects of the product. So we always thought about the person who was using the product, the analyst that at the end of the day had to decide if the computer was actually saying the right thing or not about fraud. We always were very careful, making sure that even for the end customers, we kept the entire platform, in a sense, human. I strongly believe that good products are really products that take the person into account, and they are not designed just because some engineer, in a way, finds some type of technology very cool, although technology is cool, but really takes into account the person at the other side of the interaction. One thing that really resonates with me, and that nowadays I talk with a lot of companies, and I talk with younger people that are beginning their own companies, and they are always convinced that they are going to change the world in 1 or 2 years, and their companies are going to be widely successful in 1 or 2 years. But the reality is that building a successful company is really hard, and it takes time. And I like this quote a lot. It's attributed to Bill Gates, although there is some dispute about it. What happens is that most people actually overestimate what they can do in a year, and they underestimate what they can do in 10. What this means is that you think that you are going to be able to change the world and have a widely successful company just in a couple of years, but actually perseverance and grit in many cases are much, much more important than the initial sprint. In fact, if you are building a company, this is really more like running a marathon, and all the grit and all the pain that goes into that, than really running a 100-meter sprint. And Feedzai is actually a reality of that. So nowadays we have about 700 employees plus contractors. We have offices all over the world, several offices in the United States, in Portugal, in the UK, in Singapore, in Australia. We are protecting all these people worldwide. To give you an idea, just in the US, half of all the transactions in the US, all the debit transactions go through us, through our servers. And that doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of time to actually be able to do that. And one of the questions that many people ask us is, where did the idea of applying machine learning and AI to prevent fraud came from? Did you already work in banks and the financial sector? And the reality is no. So actually, if you look at the most successful companies worldwide, even today, they didn't start by doing what they do nowadays. In many cases, it was a completely different idea, and people had to find a way to actually make a business out of it. And Feedzai, it's the same story. So when we got together in 2008, 2009, we knew that we had good technology and we had a very good understanding of how to build AI systems, machine learning based systems. We knew how to process a lot of data in real time. And our research group had cool technology, but we knew that we didn't have product market fit. And finding product market fit is really key. It's much more important than having a cool gadget or thinking that if you build something, the clients will come. So what happened was that we knew that we had this technology around machine learning and fraud prevention, and we had to find some kind of business or client that really needed our technology. And we decided to try out 3 different areas. So we thought about utilities, so companies that produce energy and things like that, because they have needs of processing data in real time and looking in an intelligent way to it. We thought about banking and financial services because, again, there is a lot of transactions taking place in real time. You need to understand what those transactions are and what they mean for the business. And we thought about telecommunications. And the fact is, we started to have a few clients in telecommunications. We had a few clients that we onboarded on the financial sector, and the same thing with electricity utility companies worldwide. And although we were selling, it was still very, very clear to us that we didn't have product market fit. So the fact that you are able to sell a product, it doesn't mean that you are able to generate an unproportional, let's say, outcome from the sales of that product. At the time, what it meant was that every time we sold a product, it was enough to pay the bills, but not more than that. And interesting enough, one of our clients was so happy about the product that they actually challenged us to apply it to fraud prevention, something that we had never thought about. And they were even willing to pay for that because they really believed in us. They thought that the technology was very good, and they want to try it out in a different use case. And when we did, the results were simply incredible. And it was at that time that we understood that we had product market fit, because imagine if you go to a utility company and you tell them, I have this product that is able to, let's say, monitor all the electrical grid in a country. It may make sense for the client, but it's really hard to put a price on it. What do you gain from a business perspective just by having indicators? It's hard to put a price on that. And it was always a struggle both for us and for the clients to actually agree on the price. The same thing happens if, let's say, you are doing analysis of telecommunication transactions. It's really hard to understand what's the worth of the product that you are delivering. In fraud, it was a completely different ballgame, because every single financial institution, every single bank, they actually know how much money they are losing in fraud. In fact, if you are a public bank or if you are a public company that is on the stock market, you even have to report officially how much money you are losing in fraud. So for us and the client, it's really easy to put a price tag on the product, because you know how much money you are losing. If you are able to save, let's say, 50% of that money by better detecting fraud, it's really easy to calculate the added value of the product. So in fraud, the business case became very, very obvious, and the pricing also. And at the same time, when we looked at the numbers, we were able to sell exactly the same technology, exactly the same thing, but for 10 times the price, 20 times the price. Because again, we were adding a lot of value, solving a problem that the client had. So this is finding product market fit. And as I was saying before, one of the biggest mistakes or problems that I typically see in startups is that they believe that they have a very cool technology, and they believe that just by adding features, eventually they will have clients, instead of focusing on what is the added value that I'm actually bringing to the client and to the table. So why do it? Why did we create Feedzai, and why do we are very engaged in the operation of the company? So of course this varies from person to person and founder to founder, but personally for me and my co-founders, one of the biggest things is actually making something out of nothing, creating a new product. So to give you context, go back to 2008, 2009, there was not a lot of product companies with advanced technology that had been started in Portugal. Of course, there was a lot of IT companies, there was a lot of companies that made software at the request of a client, but truly a company that was bringing state-of-the-art research from the university to the worldwide market was something that didn't exist, or almost didn't exist. And what we were able to prove was it's possible to create advanced technology for the worldwide market, starting in Portugal, and in particular starting from Coimbra. The second reason is we truly believe in making the world a better place. So at Feedzai, we are not building yet another app for an iPhone or Android. We are not building just yet another small thing to make money. We are stopping financial movements that correspond to money that was made by trafficking people, by trafficking drugs. We are stopping fraud and stolen credit cards and debit cards. We are stopping transactions that are taking place because of phishing. So in reality, we always get the sense that we are the good guys that are making the world a better place and a safer place. And that's really important in terms of the DNA of the company. The other thing that really makes me proud is the team that works with us. It's a team that we love and cherish. I have a lot of proud in that. Many of the early employees were actually my research team and Pedro's research team at the university, and they are still with us, many of them. And it's amazing to see them grow with the company and going to higher heights. I can for sure tell that many of those people are way better, way more prepared to execute at a company and to even create companies than we were 10 years ago, which is something really amazing. And the final reason to build the company and to create a company is our origins. Again, when we started the company, it was 2008, 2009. We were in the frontline pages of the Wall Street Journal saying that Portugal was bankrupt. It was the financial crisis. We were one of the pigs in terms of the country. It was really hard. At the same time, we always kept the headquarters of Feedzai in Portugal. All the investment, all the money that ended up being flown and helping building the company always happened in Portugal. So creating jobs, bringing projects and money to Portugal is also something that is very much in our DNA and something that we want to keep doing. So in a nutshell, that's Feedzai. We are the heroes of fraud prevention, and I hope you enjoyed this small presentation and that you understand a little bit better what moves us and the journey that we are at. So thank you so much.